Hi, I'm Linda Fox, Senior Reporter, Phocuswire, and I'm here with James Lemon. He's Global Head of Travel and Leisure for Stripe. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
So just briefly, if you will, describe how the travel industry would work with Stripe.
Yeah, so Stripe has been around for a decade or so building, I suppose, what you broadly call financial infrastructure. Everything from online payment tools to digital marketplaces to virtual cards. And we've done that both with explosive disruptors like ride-sharing apps and food delivery apps that are quite famous to enterprise businesses that are really thinking about their own transformation. I joined the business a year ago to really understand what we do in travel and what we could do next, and was just blown away that so many travel brands had already adopted Stripe solutions. So, some really concrete examples is the world of online payments. I mean, we've been talking about Book Direct for a generation now, but we still see 90% of websites don't offer anything except credit cards.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about Apple Pay, Google Pay. They're not thinking about paying in installments or Klarna. And now we're moving to a world of paying by bank or local payment methods. All of that stuff's kind of out the box on Stripe. Mm-hmm. So we're really encouraging people to upgrade their online experiences. And then I suppose the next big theme, would be marketplaces and ecosystems. Again, we are a fairly manual industry by history. We are sending thousands of invoices to our franchise hotels or to our suppliers or to OTAs, and we're constantly reconciling and arguing over revenue shares and payments. The next generation platforms that have grown up on Stripe's marketplace technology, they're running billions of dollars of revenues on very small finance teams because all that revenue sharing, all that splitting of payments, it's all happening digitally.
Yeah.
And everyone gets a dashboard, everyone can see what payments have come in, what commissions are owed. So I think those are probably the two big areas where we think that Stripe's perfect for travel. Mm-hmm. Building next generation aggregated ecosystems of all of our content, and then making sure consumer experiences in the online space are just world class.
So what is it about travel then that makes it kind of, what are the factors involved that make it easy for a company like Stripe to come in and build a presence?
I heard recently you don't go into travel to be a technologist. Mm-hmm. You go in because you love travel or you love hospitality. So Stripe's worked really hard to make sure most of our solutions work as literally no code or low code. So you could set up a hotel website with a payment option on Stripe and all of these kind of innovative tools like Buy Now, Pay Later and Apple Pay in minutes. Obviously, for those that are more technical, you can also break it down and plug it into your infrastructure. So I think that ease of use is probably a really big part of it. The other element I'd say is it's kind of set and forget. So once you've got a checkout running on Stripe, for example, it will dynamically be able to tailor itself to the customer that's coming in from China or the customer that's coming in from the US, and it will surface to them their preferred way to pay. Or if we've ever seen them in Stripe's merchant network before, we might even remember the way that they like to pay once we see their email. So you start to get to a world of preferred payment methods and one-click checkout. And all of those things, you don't need to think about. So you can get back to your next priority, looking after your guests, thinking about your kind of broader travel experiences, thinking about productivity in your business, and you can kind of leave payments outsourced to Stripe.
So, I think you're talking about frictionless payment there, and wouldn't it be great if we were completely there across the whole travel cycle? But you recently did a deal with Airbnb. Just talk to us a little bit about how you're working with them.
Yeah, there's a couple of trends that have emerged in the space, and the trends are really about two things. One is absolutely one-click checkout, and so we've implemented something called Link. And Link is a product which, for any one of our merchants, can switch it on. ChatGPT is a great example. Anyone who has a ChatGPT subscription had a chance to save their payment details. Okay. And then whenever we land on your site, in this case Airbnb, but it could be an independent hotel, an independent tour guide, it could be a car rental company. As soon as we see that email, we send you an SMS with a 6-digit number. You click to say it's you, and it's saved your name, your address, and your preferred payment methods. So it takes that checkout time right down to 6 seconds on average. What Airbnb have done, which I think is great, is they're looking at credit cards and that more traditional way to buy, and they're saying, what's going to be the future of pay by bank? What's going to be the future of bank transfers and open banking? So in particular, for their longer stays, they're using Stripe to make paying by bank as easy as paying by credit card. And I think that's another huge opportunity. If you were to go to the CEO or commercial director or finance director of a large travel business and you said, look, if I could reduce your payment costs right across your business, a $40 billion business if you're a hotel chain, and everyone was paying by bank, imagine what that could do to your bottom line. So I think Airbnb are really exploring that space. Longer stays, high purchase products, which many of our customers see in travel. How do you introduce pay by bank, but in a seamless, trusted way?
I mean, we're seeing a lot more across different verticals in travel. I'm thinking airlines at the moment about how many billions are being left on the table because they're not tackling payments. Yeah. Is it a hard sell? Is it integration issues? What are those challenges?
I feel like in my year at Stripe and kind of coming from 15 years in travel, I can see how it doesn't always make the top 3 things of stuff the execs got to do this year.
Okay.
I think if you look at ancillaries, if you look at buy now, pay later, you're like, I can see it coming and I'll get round to it. But first of all, I've got to deal with the staffing crisis. I've got to spin up a project on ChatGPT. I've got to renegotiate with a couple of the big OTAs. And so I think it's often been put in a box of not super urgent, and
just
we're
not
not
yet.
sure, not yet, and not sure how hard it is to do. And I think it's easy to open the conversation, and events like Phocuswright are perfect for that. But really, then it's about, I didn't realize this could be hours or weeks instead of months and years.
Right.
I've certainly seen big enterprises in my time in travel spend 2 years setting up an alternative payment provider. But actually, you don't even have to negotiate with a PayPal or a Klarna. Like Stripe have already done that. And so that's out of the box. So no, I don't think it's hard to do. It's just kind of getting on people's priority list. But the airlines are a great example. You go, what's the opportunity for in-flight retail? We've just launched a really neat solution with Apple where you can actually use a mobile phone as a payment device.
Okay.
So suddenly your air stewards and air stewardesses are not having to charge a device
they
and
never
run
work.
around.
I always feel really sorry for them. Their systems
never
don't work.
So we do have terminals for in-flight, but I think it's really exciting to think that actually you could just build an app for your airline. Your staff could just have it on their phone and you can just take payments. So there's much simpler ways to innovate than we've seen in the past. I think a broader question in travel is how high up your priority list is innovation? And that's a question that we'd love to work on.
Yeah, that's often mooted, shall we say. There's a lot of competition out there in the payment space, and they're all knocking on travel doors. So how do you stand out? How do you keep making sure that your company is considered along with everyone else's?
Stripe's reputation in the tech space has traditionally been around being developer friendly, a higher level of simplicity than others, and loved by kind of CTOs and their tech teams because it's just so easy to use. And in a world where we want to be more productive, in a world where we don't always have time to spend a huge amount of time A/B testing and bringing things to market, that's actually incredibly valuable, I think. The other is just the size of Stripe's network. So we're going to be processing nearly $1 trillion of revenue by the end of 2023 across 3 million merchants. And no one else operates at that scale. When you're a learning machine like Stripe, we then know all of the credit cards that are probably creating fraud. We know what banks are able to authorize or might be down for a period of minutes or hours. And of course, with Link, we now know anyone who's shopped in that merchant network before. And we can bring all the benefits of helping people check out faster, but also keeping them safe online. We can bring that to a single travel provider, a single travel platform. So I think that combination of being easy to work with and having that global scale, I think is key. The other thing I'd say, a stat that I love, we've got 7,000 employees, 40% are engineers. So we've got over 3,000 people who are obsessed with getting this right.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's pretty important to keep them happy.
It's pretty important to keep them happy, but it's fascinating to see that we have kind of internal calls on this stuff. The innovation they're kicking out and just the micro detail they'll put around exactly what should your checkout page look like, just to get micro improvements. And obviously we've got
Do you have to rein them in a bit? Because
I think, good question. I think we let them loose on a lot of kind of smaller projects, but we absolutely have some big global priorities. Stripe's a hugely ambitious company. We want to create a kind of next generation global kind of treasury payments network. And so they're very excited about that broader vision. But in the meantime, lots of benefits coming out of the shop of just better checkouts, better marketplaces, better subscription businesses, better terminals. So it's a great place to be.
You mentioned a high level revenue figure just there. One I picked up was that your Stripe businesses generated 817 billion, I think it's 2022. And that's up 26%. But yet your founders said that was a sort of significant deceleration. That kind of blows my mind because I think that's sort of like huge amounts of transactions. But is there anything trend-wise, consumer trend-wise, that we should infer from that slowing?
I think it gives a sense of the founders' ambition that they were medium excited about the results last year. But I think a couple of things happened. Stripe's history has been really in digital-first businesses, and out of the pandemic you just had this explosion of Zoom and Peloton and a whole range of new offerings and phenomenal Stripe customers. But of course, quite publicly, we've also seen a little bit of a slowdown in some of those businesses.
Lots of job losses.
I think our results probably recognise that that's been a kind of strong customer base for us. What's really exciting now is our customer base is moving much more into next generation enterprises. So bringing on people like Ford and also people like Amazon, Hertz, who are building their digital transformations with Stripe. So that's kind of one piece. I think there's a kind of recognition that the overall US-centric tech system is being cautious. Certainly we're seeing some banking issues and less investment available. So of course, if our startup customers aren't able to scale at the speed they were, then that's going to slow our growth as well. And that's why I think I'm really excited about some of our amazing travel partnerships, like your Ubers and your Airbnbs, which is really kind of solid, stable businesses that are much better established.
Because you're just not seeing that kind of slowing yet.
So what we're seeing in travel is not the same as you'd see in the US tech sector. Traditionally, I think travel has been a bit of a bellwether for downturns. And it's great to see it Phocuswright this week, but also general industry consensus is travel does seem to be holding up better than it has in previous recessions. So we're certainly seeing it with the tech platforms that are building on Stripe and those kind of global brands that we're starting to work with. So I think overall we are cautious but positive for a great summer season and a great kind of 2023 for Stripe in travel.
Great. James, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.